This is the Subaru BRZ. Toyota GR86. Easy mistake to make, the two cars are virtually identical. But one way they are not identical in is price. Which one is the cheapest? Well, you'll have to keep watching to find out. This is Four Wheels and a Seat. I'm Alex Dalrymple, and every week I review a brand new car. To make sure you don't miss one, please hit the subscribe button down below and give me a like as well. So last year I reviewed this car's twin, the Subaru BRZ. You can check out that review by clicking the link up there. And I remember thinking at the time it was a real throwback to what cars used to be like. It sort of has that 1960s roadster feel, which is just so different in this day and age of electric cars. I really enjoyed driving the BRZ, but I don't know, for some reason, I just don't love the GR86 quite as much. So the two cars do look pretty much identical from the outside. The only real difference here is at the front, where the front grille treatment is a little bit different. You can see that the nose is very low to the ground. Moving around the side here, we've got 18-inch alloys on this top spec GTS model. We've got some active vents here at the front as well to improve airflow from the front wheel arch. Some ground effects there that look pretty good, and moving around the back, you can see that the rear treatment here is pretty much identical to the Subaru. In fact, these rear lights are pretty much the same as a WRX, showing that this car is actually more a Subaru than Toyota, which makes sense. It is, after all, built in a Subaru factory. Toyota don't actually quote boot stats on their website, but the BRZ had a 201 litre boot, which I assume is about the same here. The BRZ comes with a spare tyre in the back, which actually sticks up through the floor. The Toyota comes with no spare tyre, but you do get a tyre repair kit. Not really a lot of storage space there, if I'm honest. Under the bonnet, both cars have the same Subaru-made 2.4 litre four-cylinder boxer engine that is naturally aspirated and outputs 174 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 in 6.5 seconds, which is not hugely quick, but in a car this small and this low to the ground, it actually does feel a lot faster. Combined fuel economy comes in at 9.4 litres per 100 kilometres, which is not exactly efficient. Power is driven to the rear wheels only via a 6-speed manual transmission. The interior, you guessed it, pretty much the same as the BRZ, although this top spec GTS model does come with red accents on the doors, red carpet and red mats, which is a no-cost option and I think looks pretty good, so why not? The only real difference here is the software that runs on the center console screen, which is different to the Subaru system, and it's also different to any other Toyota system you're going to find. I think it's actually better than Toyota's older system, but probably not as good as its current one. It's pretty basic. There's no native navigation, but there is wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. A sound system in here which just sounds okay. It's not particularly good or bassy, but it does the job. One other thing that I have noticed that's the difference between this car and the Subaru is the manual transmission. And look, I don't know if it's just because I've been driving a lot of hot hatches from Hyundai and Honda lately, which have had excellent manual transmissions, but I just don't like this one as much. It almost feels a bit sort of crunchy, and it's just not as nice to use. The friction point on the clutch is a lot higher than it is in some of the other cars I've been driving lately, and I just find this car is actually surprisingly easy to stall. It just makes the whole driving experience around town just not quite as smooth or as much fun. I think this is really a car designed for the track. Top spec GTS models come with heated seats, and the buttons for those are just down here. The instrument cluster, again, same as the Subi, but it has been restriped for Toyota, obviously. There's 2 display modes, depending on whether you're in normal mode or track mode. I really like the track mode display. I think it looks pretty awesome. Steering wheel, again, same as the Subi, but with a big Toyota badge on it, oddly enough. It feels all right. There's nice red stitching. It's a good size. Alcantara would have been nice, but you know, this faux leather is just fine. Seating position, again, nice and low in the cabin, feels very, very sporty. Actually, heaps of headroom, and I'm not a short person, so I actually fit here in this car surprisingly well. And visibility all around is actually really good. So this car is a 2x2 configuration, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. But look, honestly, the back seat is purely ornamental, and I'm gonna try and sit in it now. Okay, so I'm in. Not too bad, but the seat is fully forward. If we put this seat back, Oh yeah, this is really comfortable. Yeah, loving this. Yeah, the back seat of the Toyota GR86 is definitely not for me or pretty much anyone. I had my kids back here the other day and they couldn't fit in either. If there was a very, very short person sitting in this front passenger seat, well, you know, even then, I don't think I'm really gonna fit. And the headroom obviously is a major issue. So look, seriously, skip the back seat. Just give us more boot space. The Toyota GR86 is a lot of fun to drive, no question about that. Maybe not quite as much fun though as some of the hot hatches I've been driving lately. And I think some of that just comes down to the fact that it's a little bit harder to live with as a daily driver. This is really the car you want to have as a second car to go to the track on the weekends, or if you're going for a drive through the country with some twisty roads. That's really where this car does its best work. It takes a bit more work to actually be able to drive this car smoothly. The ride is pretty firm. I have driven firmer. Okay, so we're going through the tunnel. The speed limit here is 80, and this car has no adaptive cruise control. It's only got sort of old school dumb cruise control. So that's operated on a separate stalk here behind the steering wheel. Let's turn it on and see how easy it is to use. Just got to bear in mind that there's no radar in this car, so it will just keep plowing on at 80 kilometers per hour until I either put my foot on the brake or I turn the system off. It's not going to slow down automatically if the traffic in front of me slows down. And while we're here, we might as well talk about safety gear. There isn't any. No, that's not quite true, there is. But a lot of features that you'd be expecting to find in most modern cars are not here. So as I mentioned, there's no adaptive cruise control, there's no autonomous emergency braking. You do have rear cross traffic alert, and there is one camera pointing out the back to help with reversing. Got an airbag in the steering wheel. Just like the Subaru BRZ, the cabin is far from the quietest and most refined you're going to find. Look, it's not deafeningly loud, but it is certainly a bit intrusive. Definitely raising my voice a bit louder than normal to speak to you today in this car. But the great thing about such a small, nimble car like this is that it corners absolutely beautifully. It just stays so flat around the tightest of corners. There's no elegant way of getting out of this car when you're my height. So you might be looking at this review and thinking, which one should I buy, the Subaru BRZ or the Toyota GR86? Because the two cars are pretty well identical. Well, there's one way these two cars are not identical, and that is in price. The top spec Subaru BRZ Coupe S comes in at around $44,500. The top spec Toyota GR86 GTS costs a whopping $6,000 more. And to be honest, I can't really tell you why. That's a lot of money for not a lot of car, so I think you can guess which one I would buy.